welcome to We Women Want. This is a show for women, by women, where we discuss issues that I think almost all women face with at some point or the other. It's a show where we also celebrate women. It's become an emotional support group for those who need us. It's also conversations that are curated around the needs of women. It's actually a go-to destination for women every weekend on NewsX. This week, today, we're going to be discussing mental health. World Mental Health Day is on 10th of October, but by and large, whereas statistically speaking, anecdotally speaking, women do have a lot more on their plate as regards anxiety, trauma, issues, tangible issues that affect their mental health and happiness. Sometimes it's pressures from society, the need to confirm whether it's mother-in-law, daughter-in-law issues or body shaming. Other times there are biological issues, effects of menopause, but there is also sexual abuse, which we see a lot of young girls. In fact, from my conversations with doctors, I'm told that young girls have a problem of confirming. There is also, the issue of body shaming, which is there in schoolgirls. Domestic abuse comes at a very young age. So these are issues that haunt you really from the minute you're born. We're not saying that men do not go through this. Men do. But statistically, on an average, it is the problems of women that are larger, and that's what we're going to be discussing today. Joining me for this discussion is Dr. Jyoti Kapoor. She is a consultant psychiatrist and psychotherapist, and also the founder of Manasthali. We have Dr. Shambhavi Jaiman. She is the consultant psychiatrist at Fortis Healthcare. And Neera Jain, she's a counselor who works in the field of mental health, and she does a lot of work with NGOs and on-ground work. Dr. Neera, to begin with, what are the kind of issues that you face with on-ground in terms of women? Is it, can we categorize that younger women have more domestic abuse or sexual abuse? Older women, of course, there's problem of depression, of menopause, things like that.
No, you just cannot categorize it.
I can't.
You, abuse happens at a younger age also, even at an older age also. It can happen at any age. Similar is the case with depression. It can happen at any age. It can be, physical abuse can be as young as you are 4 or 5 years old. And it can go, a lot of, sexual abuse goes between the doors.
Inside the house.
Inside the house, which is not reported, but maximum cases take place. So it can be after marriage, anytime, teenagers. So there is no age specific that these cases take place.
Dr. Jyoti, the issue of, let's begin with the cases that come to you that you deal with. What are the cases that are larger in number?
See, in general, today we are seeing a lot of incidents of anxiety and depression. Be it children, be it men, be it women. But statistically speaking, clinically, we see more cases among women, more cases or higher incidence of anxiety and depression in women, and also of suicide attempts in women. The age question that you were saying, clinically, the age when depression or anxiety happens is around the age of 18 to 25 years. That is what we know in general. But like ma'am said, that it's not particularly related to a certain age group, a certain strata of the society. Today, what we are seeing is that stress is so overwhelming that every strata of the society is getting affected by these issues.
Okay, well, Shambhavi, women's issues, if you can help me understand, let's talk about sexual abuse. That is something that usually happens to women. I'm sure men also get this thing. But how do when the girls come and speak to you, is it obviously not while it's going on, it's a little later. What can you anecdotally help us understand?
Usually, like Dr. Jyoti said, that the presenting complaint or when they're coming to us, it's usually with depressive symptoms or anxiety symptoms. When we try and probe into what has been happening, what's been going on, then we get to know that, okay, there has been some amount of sexual abuse or physical assault which has happened. And most of the times what happens is that it is somebody who's related to them. It is somebody, a friend of the family, a relative, and it's very difficult for the child to say it out loud at that point of time. And later when the parents get to know, most of the times they say that it's something which is old. They are not able to help them. Even if they want to help them, a lot of them struggle to do that because it's somebody who's a relative, who's a friend, and they have that stigma, they have that fear as to how the other person is going to react. But usually they present with depressive and anxiety symptoms, and on probing is when we get to know that there is something like this in the past which has been there.
But like you said, it's someone who is known. So the parents also feel hesitant in confronting the perpetrator. That adds to the child's trauma.
Definitely, they do. Like I said, that there's a stigma around this particular thing. A lot of times, the child is not believed itself. So the child comes up to the parents and they tell that, okay, this has happened. They say that you were too young to remember everything. Maybe it's not what happened. There's incidents like that which happen. There are times when they know that, okay, this is a possibility, but they're not able to do anything because it's a relative or a close acquaintance, and they can't really do anything about it because of the fear how other people will react to it.
Do you also get a lot of cases? Let's first talk about sexual abuse.
No, I totally agree with her, but whatever she said actually happens that. We do get a lot of cases of sexual abuse, and like she said, they are people close to you, known to you. In one of the cases, it was their religious head.
That happens a lot also.
And when she, told her mother, she wouldn't believe that how can he do this. But she carried this stigma for a very long time, maybe 30, 40 years later, and also she just could not digest it because nobody believed her. It was not addressed. So sexual abuse, and it's not only women do get, men also get, sexual abuse is common among them also.
And men have a problem in reporting more than the women?
It's the same. Even if they report, like she said, the same thing, that people don't believe, and there's a stigma. Sometimes when you want to take an action, you are there multiple factor which makes you not take that action, as you hesitate. And like the societal pressure, log kya kahenge, izzat ka sawal, this is what is very common in the families and all. So let's just hush it down and forget it, koi baat nahi, bhool jaoge, just try to forget and all those things.
But here I'd like to add that, like you mentioned, if you talk about child sex abuse, the more vulnerable children are men, because women or girls are still protected or taken care of, and boys are not. And we see from whatever we know about the statistics, every 1 in 4 boy has at some point of time been sexually assaulted. And it is more difficult for boys to accept and acknowledge it, and it comes across in the form of sexual problems later in life. Whereas among women, it becomes, yes, sexual aspect of problems is there, psychosexual problems are rampant, but there is a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, and it can affect their overall personality. And we see them developing what we call borderline personality disorders or emotionally unstable personality disorders, because their ability to manage any kind of stress goes down after something as traumatic as this has happened.
So when you talk to them, Jyoti, how, the sessions, how do they take place? Initially, do the parents sit in with the sessions? What is, do you have some kind of, or you rather talk to the girl alone or the boy?
See, it depends from person to person, primarily what the person has come to us for. Like Shambhavi mentioned, that most of these people don't come to us because they have been assaulted.
Right.
They come to us because of something that is now troubling them, be it anxiety, inability to manage stress. Many of the girls are now getting married and are not comfortable with the sex with their own partners, and then the history comes up, and then we see that resentment that they had this issue and they tried to approach a parent about it and they did nothing. There have been, like when you mention about who does it, many of the times it could be even an elder brother, a cousin, a mama, a chacha.
It's always someone known.
Yeah. And then nobody wants to tackle that issue 10 years, 15 years later. And then the person who is suffering also has this problem of guilt. They think that they couldn't help themselves at that point of time. So when we talk about therapy, it's at that point of time about tackling the immediate symptoms of stress, anxiety, depression. But gradually we do have to reach the root cause of the problem to try and help them acknowledge that yes, it has happened, but it doesn't make you any less than anybody else. Because what the society's impression in general is that if something like that has happened, it has robbed you of your purity, your chastity, and you are at fault, as if something's wrong with you. Correct. Nothing's wrong with you. You are a victim, and that is exactly what the women need to be able to accept and get empowered with that feeling, so that they don't have to deal with the anxiety or stress anymore.
Sometimes they themselves start feeling guilty that there's something wrong with me. That's why this has happened. So when they come to us, it is all manifestation of these things. which is, like she said, it could be anxiety, depression, and other disorders. So we start with that, and then gradually when you probe and you go down, maybe the root cause is this,
Okay.
which has happened.
Something in the childhood.
But usually when we start with probing or when we are seeing, it is always preferable to give them the option, would you want to speak alone to us? Because a lot of times they are not able to say that we want to speak alone, because the family might think that what do they want to speak, why can't we be there?
Right.
So it's always better to give them the option that, okay, we would like to speak to you alone, are you comfortable with that? And most of the times it is better to speak to the person who's coming and approaching you first alone, and then probably involve the family if they're comfortable with it. Obviously the age also matters. A minor, we
child.
have to involve the child.
Parents. Okay, now minor, that's a good point you raised. The issue of body shaming, that I believe in today's teen world of the social media sector, everybody wants that perfect selfie. How young are the girls who are coming up with the problems?
The girls can be as young as 12 to 14.
12 to 14.
And the problem starts with, like you said, the social media, the exposure to social media as early as 12, 14, even 10 years old. The school, the kind of bullying which happens in school, the kind of image which is portrayed in all the media platforms, that only this is a kind of body image which is accepted or something which is not accepted. Now obviously there are a lot of things which are happening around it, but still the problems start very early. That can be as early as 12 to 14.
And this body shaming, is it a certain middle class thing, or it cuts across all
It cuts
ages
across
and classes?
all ages and classes.
Okay. Body shaming, do you also have a lot of young girls, or even older women, I'm sure, have a problem?
Yeah, like he
middle-aged?
said, it's because of lot of exposure to social media and all. Everybody wants to conform to a certain style. Yeah, this is my style icon, so I have to look like this. What my friends will think. Lot of social pressures there. What my friends will think. I want to have a certain sort of a image to be, liked by my friends, by my peers and all. Peer pressure is there a lot of times, So you try to typecast yourself in a certain mold.
And
So which then as a result, leads to anxiety, depression, and the other things and all.
marriage also must be playing a big role.
Yeah, like it's very like, see, like societal pressure is there. Ab tu kali hai, teri shadi nahi hoegi, or you put in too much of weight. This social by the parents and all family, this hurts you more.
Because
It lowers your self-esteem. You lose your self-esteem, your self-confidence, and you think everything is bad about you because everybody is saying. And that time you are also going through so much of emotional and physical changes. So much is going, hormonal change and all. So with all these things, it becomes a little difficult for you to, whom to believe, what to believe.
so then you need.
Yeah. So
but
for the kind of lifestyle that we are leading right now, conditions like PCOS have become very, very common. And like you mentioned, it'll affect girls more. It's PCOS. So
That's polycystic ovary disorder.
syndrome. And that is related to obesity, that is related to, hair on your face, increased acne, and depression. And we are seeing these kids being brought by their family, by their mothers, because of, say, regular menstruation. And the emphasis is on losing weight. And they're not able to do that because of the kind of, lifestyle we are leading today. There is hardly any exercise. The food is all junk. You want to enjoy your life and party at the same time, look better and thinner also. So that becomes such a struggle that children are no more able to be children. They have to kind of grow up into that image, like you mentioned. And yes, marriage. So many of the girls that are now in their, say, 25, 30 year of age group and are struggling with the body related issues have this thing that people don't accept us because we are not pretty enough. And every other aspect of your personality takes a back seat. This becomes more important.
With the thing. But this is just maybe a younger age group or a marriageable age. What about, I don't know, what would middle age be? Women in their 35s to 50s?
Well, frankly, today's middle age is 60. Today's young
Okay, good.
age
That's
is
good to know.
40.
There is still some time for middle age then.
Because we have clients wherein the concern is primarily brought out by the mothers themselves, because you have today the capacity to look a certain way. You have all the cosmetic processes available to look younger. Then you also want to look thinner.
Yeah.
And even in older age group, many women around the time of menopause, when they start losing that skin complexion, elasticity, hair and everything, they start becoming very, very uncomfortable that now they are growing old. And this is not acceptable to many of the women. And like I was telling some time back, it comes across more as a somatoform disorder or a psychosomatic disorder, because they can't directly say that, I don't like the fact that I am not pretty anymore.
Good point. Huh?
So at that point, it's more about I'm weak, I'm not, energetic enough, or I'm having headaches, backaches, stomach problems, or, people don't care for me and they don't love me anymore and my children don't like me. So you are not directly addressing the issue, but somewhere at the back of your mind, you're worried that you're losing your youth. And losing your youth means that, you are not attractive anymore. And if you are not attractive, you're not going to be loved or liked, because
so it's all boils down to self-esteem. We talked about menopause. Again, that's more of a women thing, though I think everybody has an issue about growing old. But are people now more willing to come forward? Shambhu, have you seen this kind of this thing, or is it people who are always ready to come?
I think it's definitely more post-COVID. I think
Loneliness.
the awareness is more. The awareness is more. They struggled more during this period, and they realized the importance of mental health. Prior to this, it was a lot to do with stigma, and if you go to a psychiatrist or a psychologist, you're weak or you're not, capable of doing things, which is not the case. You can be as strong and struggle with depression or anxiety. So I think the approach is better post-COVID, but we still have a long way to go in terms of going to a psychiatrist or a psychologist. But definitely, I would say that awareness is more, and that's an important aspect of how people are approaching mental health now.
Neera, is it more physical, or is it also pressures from outside or pressures from within largely? What do you see?
See, it is both. Societal pressure is definitely there. Plus, you also have a certain expectation from yourself, which you want to live up. So once you are not able to live up to that, then your frustration sets in, you get angry, and then there's anxiety, then do not address it, then goes to depression and other thing. So there is a mismatch between your capability and the expectation.
Right.
If you're able to mash up, then all is fine. If you're not, then all these symptoms problem starts.
Any questions from the audience? We have some kids here.
हेलो मैम, माय नेम इज़ ज्योति एंड माय क्वेश्चन इज़ कि जैसे लेडीज़ों में पीरियड्स प्रॉब्लम बहुत देखी जा रही हैं आजकल, कि जैसे टाइम से पहले आ जाना, अपनी डेट पे नहीं आना, या लेट हो जाना, तो उसका क्या रीज़न है? मेंटल स्ट्रेस की वजह से, या फिर कोई डाइट वगैरह गलत?
सो आपका सवाल बहुत जायज़ है, और सबसे ज़्यादा इम्पॉर्टेंट ये अंडरस्टैंड करना कि जो पीरियड्स हैं उनकी जो रेगुलरिटी है वो एक हार्मोन से रिलेटेड इशू है, और जो स्ट्रेस है वो भी एक हार्मोन है. तो जब हमें स्ट्रेस बढ़ता है किसी भी कारण से, तो इन सब केमिकल्स का इम्बैलेंस होता है, जिसकी वजह से पीरियड्स इरेगुलर हो जाते हैं. उसके साथ साथ जब प्यूबर्टी आती है, जब मिनार्की जिसको बोलते हैं, पीरियड स्टार्ट होने का टाइम आता है, तो उस समय भी बॉडी में बहुत सारे चेंजेस आ रहे होते हैं. तो शुरुआत के 1 से 2 साल तक आपके पीरियड्स इरेगुलर होना नॉर्मल है. लेकिन अगर आपका पीरियड बार बार इरेगुलर हो रहा है, उसमें आपको प्रॉब्लम आ रही है, या आपको कोई टेंशन है जिसकी वजह से पीरियड्स रुक जा रहे हैं, तो हम उसका फिर चेकअप करते हैं. और जैसे मैं अभी बोल रही थी कि PCOS या पॉलीसिस्टिक ओवेरियन सिंड्रोम काफ़ी कॉमन हो गया है, उसका एक सिम्टम है इरेगुलर मेंस्ट्रुएशन, तो उसको रूल आउट करना ज़रूरी हो जाता है उस केस में.
Any other questions?
मैम, आजकल बच्चे काफ़ी ज़्यादा सोचने लगे. टीन एज के बच्चे ही वो इंट्रोवर्ट के नाम से जाने जाते हैं. वो बोलते नहीं हैं लोगों के सामने अपनी दिक्कतें, लेकिन वो सोचते बहुत ज़्यादा हैं हर चीज़ को लेके कि दुनिया के साथ मतलब आगे मैं क्या करूँगी, क्या करूँगा, दुनिया के साथ कैसे कंधे से कंधा मिला के चलूँगा. तो इंट्रोवर्ट के नाम से जाने जाते हैं वो लोग. फिर वो स्ट्रेस खुद में इतना ज़्यादा लेते हैं कि वो स्मोकिंग, ड्रिंकिंग वगैरह, अल्कोहल ड्रिंक करने लग जाते हैं. तो उन बच्चों के लिए आप क्या कहना चाहेंगी कि स्ट्रेस को किस तरीके से हैंडल करना चाहिए, और क्या करना चाहिए इसको कम करने के लिए, इन सब के अलावा, स्मोकिंग, ड्रिंकिंग, अल्कोहल के अलावा?
So I think again a very valid question. आजकल हम बच्चों में ज़्यादा तनाव क्यों देख रहे हैं? क्योंकि जैसे मैम बोल रहे थे, हमारे से एक्सपेक्टेशंस बहुत बढ़ गई हैं. जितना एक्सपोजर हो रहा है सोशल मीडिया और इंटरनेट के ज़रिए, उस सब के चलते हमको हर चीज़ चाहिए और बहुत छोटी उम्र में चाहिए. और वो चीज़ जो है उसके साथ साथ कंपैरिजन बहुत ज़्यादा है. इसके पास ये है, इसके पास ये है. पहले तो चीज़ें ही लिमिटेड होती थी, अब इतना अनलिमिटेड है, कोई सब कुछ पा नहीं सकता है. तो सबसे ज़्यादा इम्पॉर्टेंट है एज सच आई बिलीव हम एडल्ट्स को अंडरस्टैंड करना कि बच्चों को स्ट्रेस होता है, और बच्चा खुद क्या करे वो सबसे ज़्यादा इम्पॉर्टेंट है. कम्युनिकेट करना. अगर आप अपने मन में क्या चल रहा है उसे किसी को बताओगे नहीं तो उसका सोल्यूशन नहीं निकल सकता, राइट? क्योंकि सोल्यूशन निकालने के लिए पहले उस चीज़ को टटोलना ज़रूरी है, एनालाइज करना ज़रूरी है कि जिस चीज़ से मुझे स्ट्रेस हो रही है वो स्ट्रेस लेने लायक भी है. क्या ये स्ट्रेस लेने लायक है कि मैं मेरा कलर फेयर नहीं है, right?
But that requires a lot of maturity.
And that's why I said that probably it's our responsibility as adults, because we see these kids and I'm really saddened by the way things have changed over the last 10 years. हम बहुत ज़्यादा तनाव बच्चों में देख रहे हैं, and it's not just academic. ये नहीं है कि मुझे पास होना है, फेल होना है.
No.
उनको बहुत कुछ करना है और कहीं ना कहीं प्रेशर हमारी तरफ से ही आ रहा है,
right?
कि आपको बहुत कुछ करना है. तो जस्ट बच्चे रहना काफ़ी नहीं रह गया है, आपको पियानिस्ट भी बनना है.
आई थिंक आई वुड वांट टू से कि कभी-कभी हमें कम्युनिकेट करने में दिक्कत होती है. हमें लगता है कि किसको बताएं, पापा को बताएं, मम्मी को बताएं, बहन को बताएं, भाई को बताएं. तो जिससे आप कंफर्टेबल हो. ये इम्पॉर्टेंट नहीं है कि पापा मम्मी को ही बताना है. अगर स्कूल में कोई टीचर है, अगर कोई ऐसा इंसान है जिससे आप क्लोज हो, उसको भी आप बता सकते हो अगर ट्रस्ट करते हो उस इंसान को. तो दैट इज़ द फर्स्ट थिंग. दूसरा, जैसे मैम ने कहा, एक्सपोजर, प्रेशर बहुत ज़्यादा है. मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम हम लोग अपने ऊपर प्रेशर खुद लेते हैं. प्योर प्रेशर बहुत ज़्यादा है. जैसे मैम ने कहा कि हम अपने आप को कंपेयर करने लग जाते हैं कि उसके पास ये है. सब लोगों की, सब चीज़ों की क्वालिटीज़, सब लोगों की क्वालिटीज़ डिफरेंट होती हैं, तो वो पहचाननी ज़रूरी है. बट हाँ, कम्युनिकेशन इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एंड यू कैन कम्युनिकेट विद एनीवन.
Any other questions?
As a parent, I would like to ask one question. I have a 16-year-old son. तो मतलब आपने कुछ साइन ऑफ डिप्रेशन, जैसे मुझे जो अभी इस सेशन में पता चला कि इट इज़ समथिंग विच कम्स अप इवन व्हेन एट द एज ऑफ 45 व्हाट यू हैव सफर्ड व्हेन यू आर एज अ चाइल्ड. तो कैसे पता चलेगा? और मतलब हम लोग जैसे अगर बच्चा नहीं रिवील करता है या रिवील भी करता है तो उसका, बिकॉज दे डोंट हैव द वर्ड्स एंड दैट्स व्हाट आई फील, कि उनको उस तरह से एक्सप्रेस, जैसे बोलते हैं, ज़्यादा सोचने लगते हैं और उनको शब्द नहीं मिलते हैं कि कैसे हम अपनी बात बताएं. तो जो आप बता रही हैं कि 40s-50s में इफ़ेक्ट कर सकता है व्हाट दे गो थ्रू, तो उसके एक तो साइंस क्या हैं जो हम लोगों को एज अ पेरेंट शुड वी वॉच आउट? बिकॉज मेरा एक कंसर्न है, मतलब दिस इज़ वेरी पर्सनल, दैट माई सन डज नॉट लाइक टू स्लीप अलोन एट नाइट. ही इज़ वेरी स्कैर्ड ऑफ डार्कनेस. तो ये आज से नहीं है, तो मैं 2 साल का था, 3 साल का था, तो ही पुट्स अ कॉट इन आवर बेड एंड ही 16. तो मेरे को हर दफ़ा ये एक चीज़ हमेशा लगती है. दो आई हैव quit my work, I've been with him, so I don't know. So what are this is one sign which I notice every day, and I talk to him, but he has a very powerful imagination. He says that I see shadows and कुछ मैं ऐसे देखता हूँ ना तो मुझे लगता है कुछ पर्दा हिल रहा है. This is his explanation, but क्या, और should I consult?
नहीं, जैसे आपने बोला कि 2 साल से पहले था, तो हो सकता है कुछ उस टाइम उसने कुछ देखा और कुछ चीज़ उसके दिमाग में इम्पैक्ट कर गई, इसको उससे अंधेरे से डर लगने लगा है, जो वो उस टाइम बच्चा होकर नहीं समझ पाया या नहीं शेयर कर पाया, तो धीरे धीरे वो चीज़ उसके दिमाग में घर कर गई है. एंड लाइक यू सेड, साइंस को डिप्रेशन में है या साइंस और डिप्रेशन में है, सी देयर सर्टन साइंस आप देख सकते हो. बच्चे देन वो ज़्यादा कम्युनिकेट नहीं करते, उनका स्लीप पैटर्न चेंज हो जाता है, उनका एपेटाइट चेंज हो जाता है, वो अपने आप में रहते हैं, शेयर नहीं करते, घर से बाहर नहीं निकलते, फ्रेंड्स से मिलना नहीं चाहते. सो इफ़ ये कुछ साइंस है, सो यू बी अलर्ट विद देम फॉर दी साइंस. अगर आप बच्चे में देख रहे हैं
चेंज,
तो अगर हाँ, यू ट्राई टू सी कि उसका डेली रूटीन में चेंज आ गया, उसको लोगों में, चीज़ों में इंटरेस्ट नहीं रहा है, तो अगर आप ऐसा चेंज करते हैं, यू ट्राई टू कम्युनिकेट विद हिम, नहीं होता, देन आई थिंक यू शुड सीक प्रोफेशनल हेल्प. So that
only this is my sign is that he doesn't sleep alone. उसके अलावा जो है, जो खाने की बात है या बोलने की बात है, वो उसमें चेंज कुछ नहीं है.
See, what you are telling primarily is not depression. I think depression is the most abused word, because anything related to mind we say depression. जो आप बता रहे हैं वो एंग्जाइटी का सिम्टम है, और एंग्जाइटी जो है वो बहुत जल्दी होती है। जैसे मैम ने कहा कि या तो कोई ऐसा इवेंट हुआ है जिसने आपको सडनली बहुत डरा दिया या आपका स्ट्रेस लेवल बढ़ा दिया, और अब आपका वो कंडीशनिंग हो गया है कि रात से आपको डर लगता है, राइट। लेकिन एंग्जाइटी का एक बहुत बड़ा इम्पॉर्टेंट रूल है, अगर आप एंग्जाइटी कॉज करने वाली चीज़ को अवॉइड करोगे तो आपकी एंग्जाइटी कभी नहीं जाएगी। सो अभी जो रिस्पॉन्स है वो अवॉइडेंस रिस्पॉन्स है, वो साथ में रहेंगे, एंग्जाइटी कभी नहीं जाएगी। द डे ही chooses to deal with it is the day anxiety will be dealt with। लेकिन क्योंकि इसे चलते हुए अब आप बता रहे हैं 14 साल हो चुके हैं, तो इस समय में वो स्टेप उठाना भी मुश्किल है। तो इसलिए सिर्फ उसके रूट कॉज को पता करने का से काफ़ी नहीं होगा। विल हैव टू फर्स्ट डील विद द पैथोलॉजी जो कि डेवलप हो गई, जिसको हम फोबियाज़ बोलते हैं। कुछ फोबियाज़ होते हैं जिसमें कोई पर्टिकुलर हमको एक्सटर्नल एनवायरमेंटल रीज़न नहीं दिखता, जैसे किसी को हाइट का फोबिया होता है या किसी को क्राउड्स का फोबिया होता है। तो ये सब एंग्जाइटी डिसऑर्डर्स में आते हैं और ये काफ़ी ईजिली ट्रीटेबल कंडीशन है। बट अगर हम उसको मैनेज नहीं करेंगे क्योंकि बाकी सब कुछ ठीक चल रहा है, तो फिर वो नहीं होगा। जो दूसरा क्वेश्चन आपने पूछा है डिप्रेशन से रिलेटेड कैसे पता चले, उसमें यू राइटली मेंशन्ड इट इज़ द चेंज इन बिहेवियर कि ना उनका एक सर्टेन टेम्परामेंट पर्सनालिटी था और अब बदल गया, चुप रहते हैं, बात नहीं करते, किसी से मिलना पसंद नहीं करते।
What she's saying is not there. So quickly you want to add in before
I
we
think
close?
irritability is quite commonly seen in children कि वो जल्दी गुस्सा होने लग जाते हैं, रोते ज़्यादा हैं। So all these two factors should be taken into consideration too.
Thank you for coming and sharing with us your problems, and all of you for this conversation. I really thank you all, and I hope you get some takeaways from this. We'll see you again same time next week.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.